I'm José Maria Munoz. I work for support team in Spain. And I'm really happy to be here, and thanks for coming. So the focus of this presentation is upgrading Liferay. In this case, upgrading to Liferay 7.2. So this presentation has two parts. First, we look at upgrade processes, and then I will show you a tool that is called Liferay Upgrade Planner that is going to help us to move our current version to the latest, to Liferay 7.2. So upgrade processes, what are that upgrade processes? Are all the steps that you have to follow in order to upgrade or move your current version to the latest, to Liferay 7.2. So in an upgrade, we can divide the upgrade in two parts, the infrastructure and data, and then the code. And the code, we can split in themes and layouts, more the front part, and the custom development for the back part. So, really important in documentation for the upgrades. There are a lot of documentation that you have in our portal, but it's important that you know what you need. So here you have documentation for the infrastructure and data, and then for the code. So about the infrastructure, the first thing that we have to check is the third-party software that we are going to use in Liferay 7.2. The application server, database, operating system. And that's why we have a documentation about that. We have the compatibility matrix that is here in the slide that you can check in order to know if you have your environment prepared for that. That's why we are using all the last functionalities that this software can offer us. So, what about data? About data, some customers ask me about the process upgrade, about perform just and sell a script, and that's all. But it's not. We need 3 steps. Preparing upgrade is really important. It's sometimes more than the upgrade, because it's a good opportunity to clean our environment or to just have the data that we are using. So first thing is make entire environment backup, and we are going to check with this backup all the upgrade, and look for duplicate contents, unused objects, for example, roles, our sites, the contents that are the tables that are higher in our environment. So you reduce all this information, the process upgrade is going to take less time. The same for the database. You can tune your database, change the properties, or disable indexing. So there are a lot of, you need a lot of time if you don't change this. Because if the process that you are doing when you are using the upgrade script is not the same that when you are using for your environment. So you need to change these properties, and it's going to reduce the time by hours. So prepare the upgrade, then we are going to upgrade. You can choose if you want to upgrade just the core or just the Liferay modules, or both at the same time. And at the end, you will have a log file with the entire processes information. If it failed, the process is going to keep continuing. It's going to keep trying, continue until the end. So you have in one log all the information about errors, issues that you are going to begin to try to fix. And then post-upgrade tasks. If you are removing the database tuning, re-enable indexing and then re-indexing, or depends permissions with deprecated apps and so on. So what about code? About code, just two important things. One is that we have a tool that is going to help us with this upgrade. The tool is Liferay Upgrade Planner, and it's going to help us with themes and layout and custom development. But for themes and layout, it's important to know that the Bootstrap, all the styles that we are using, have changed a lot. So that's why we built a compatibility layer between Bootstrap 3 and Bootstrap 4, just trying to help. So now that you know what is an upgrade process, more or less, I'm going to give you some tips and examples about this. For example, upgrade path. We have to keep in mind the upgrade paths. That is, all the versions that we have to follow in order to go to the 7.2. For example, we are in Liferay Portal 5 or 6.0, we have to move to 6.2 and then to 7.2. Or if we are in Liferay Portal 6.1, we have to move to 7.1 and then to 7.2. And if you are in 6.2 or higher, you can move directly to 7.2. All this information is in our website, so you can find this information. The important thing is that you look for what you want. So, portal properties. As you know, we changed how we are developing the code. Now we are using OCI. We are using our modules. So we need to take advantage of that. For example, with the properties. Now there are properties that we can change without restarting the portal. So it's really important, check and recheck every single property. The remove properties, check for moved properties to our modules, to the config files, breaking changes, and these kind of things. Analyze log carefully. This is a customer example that tells us in support that they have an error with this widget. But the real problem was in other widget that was a dependency of this widget. So fixing this widget, you could fix the other one. But you see that in the logs. So if you analyze the logs, you could see that there is a dependency that is not completed here. So very important, the logs and the Go shell that we have. And we have a script for upgrade just a module, for know what happened, for dependencies. What else? Give us feedback, because the feedback is really useful for us. In this case, it was a print stack trace that it was just a warning without a lot of information. So we changed, our customers say to us, we changed to just a sentence with the information that we need, and that's all. So now that we complete all this part of the presentation, we're to begin with the second part, Liferay Upgrade Planner. Before working Liferay, I was working in a company who has more customers, and they have projects in Liferay. So it's a good experience because I've been in two sides. I understand things because I've been in the other side. So, for example, when we have any old portal in Liferay that we have to migrate, our phase was something like that. I think that you know that phase. So what we had this phase, because usually these projects are for yesterday, because we didn't know about complexity. We didn't know about where is the documentation. Or maybe for simple things, we were wasting a lot of time. So that's why I thought, write in my notebook all the steps that I needed in order to grade our portal. And when I had something like that, this is my notebook, I thought that maybe it's better try to look for any tool. So there is a tool. Now there is a tool, is an evolution of an older tool called Code Upgrade tool. And the name is Liferay Planner, that provides an automatic help plan to adapt your installation, data, and legacy plugins to your desired Liferay DXP upgrade version. What does this mean? Or how is going to help us this? Because you are going to have a step-by-step planning with documentation for every single step that is going to help us with this. And some of the steps are automatic. Okay, it's not a button that you press and all is done, like you know, but it's a great help. You can choose between data upgrade or code upgrade, and the tool is going to show us all the steps that I need. And all of this comes with Liferay Developer Studio, that in version 3.6 and higher is with the Developer Studio. So we are going to begin for the beginning, and we are going to create, in 10 seconds, a Liferay Planner. So in your Developer Studio, you go to Project, New Liferay Planner, write a planner for code from 6.2 to 7.2, and that's all. This is what I got. You see all the steps there, that they are all the steps that I was wrote in my notebook, and for every single step you have the documentation. So I thought that it was a good idea. So an example how to begin with upgrade of code. This is more focused in code from 6.2 to 7.2. That is more difficult than 7 to 7.2. So first thing, we are going to create a workspace in 7.2. We are going to import our SDK in 6.2, and then the tool is going to move all the developments to our new workspace in 7.2. We are going to see. So create a new Liferay workspace, click to perform, we put a name in Gradle or Maven, finish. This step is not important because we are not going to import anything. And now we are going to set all the workspace setting. We have the Gradle.properties, but in this case, it's just check the target version and the bundle version that we are going to download. Click to perform in the last step, and the tool is going to download a bundle version that you have there. A bundle version that is an application server in Tomcat with 7.2. So if you are migrating your infrastructure, you can check or deploy it there, but you have, for the development environment, you have a bundle just to check. So next thing, we are going to import the SDK and move all this development to our portal, to our workspace. So all the things that I'm telling you are in this documentation, so you can read and do what I'm doing. Select the SDK, click to perform. You select all the development that you have in your SDK, and the tool is going to move all this information to our workspace. It's going to create a small Gradle projects, because we choose Gradle, in order that all these development are available to be deployed in our bundle. But first, we have to fix all these issues that we have, all the changes that we have to correct. So next step, be careful with that, is an autocorrect help. Be careful because it's not the red button that help with everything and it's done, all the upgrade. So it's just a help for these things that could be automatically. You can preview for all your developments. You can choose wherever you want. If you are more than one in your team, you just choose what are you grading. So now you have a list of all the issues, in what version, with documentation, what happened in the old version, what is now, what we have to do. And if you do double click, you will see all the code. So you see that there are a lot of errors or changes that we have to do. And now we are going to perform. So the tool is going to try to fix these errors automatically. You will see that some of the imports have been resolved, others not, because it's calling to other library. And now we are going to click to perform again that look for what issues we still having. So now we have the list. You can execute this step wherever you want. If you are fixing one of them, you can reproduce again. So we have less errors now. And all these errors is just like that you are calling for your service builder or for these kind of services, that now we are calling these services in another way because we are using modules. But you have documentation about how to change that. Or this property is a property that now it's changed to 2 properties. So that's why the tool is not going to fix automatically. So now, next step to fix that is a great documentation. You could see the steps there. Project dependencies, a breaking change. A great documentation about how to change these kind of these errors, or like this. So read it and look for for fix that. And if you still having more issues, it's because maybe these issues is for a specifically that we have a lot of steps more specifically kind of development in Liferay, and that's why we have a documentation for every single kind of development. We have more automatically steps like rebuild your services, but we have a great documentation about that, about themes and layout for every version, for every single version, layout templates, framework and features, upgrade portlets, or you see. So, what do we have now? At the beginning, we had a lot of problems, but now, at least, we have a centralized documentation. We know where we have to go. We have autocorrect use and a step-by-step review. So the autocorrect is a help. It's going to help us with high amount of issues. We have a steady progress. And when we finish one of the upgrades, we can deploy the development. And in the end, we have faster and easier upgrades. Easier, that not easy. Sometimes it's easy, but I'm not saying that an upgrade is easy. And 2 more advice more, because I told you that I was working in projects with Liferay. We usually use that. use Liferay source code. You have the source code of Liferay you can download. So download, put in your project, and use it. If you are reading in a step that you have to extend for a Java class and you don't know why or how to use it, you can go look for this class, and you can see how Liferay is doing that. So you can copy and call this service in the same way. So this is a good reference for our JSP, one JSP that I don't know how to change that. You can go to the original and see why it's not working with you JSP. And ask Liferay support for help. If you have a subscription, open a ticket. Okay, I have that, and I don't know how to do it. And in this day, on the very few next days, you will have a response. And if not, you can write in the community. The times are not the same, but there is a team for the community. So thank you very much. And just two advice for the entire, or two tips for the entire, to take away for the entire presentation. That is, plan upgrades, taking advantage of all the resources available, because you have your logs, your shell script, your source code of Liferay. So use it, and Liferay Upgrade Planner, a successful start. So thank you very much.